Welcome back to Parent Squad. Thanksgiving is quickly approaching, and that means food, food, and more food. And did we mention that there's going to be a lot of food? So if you're looking to add some healthier options, we've got some ideas. Riley Health Dietitian Taylor Parrish is here to help us elevate our plate. So I am so excited you're here because we've been talking about doing this. I mean, obviously all of our talks are really good conversation, but with the food holiday coming up, you want to partake a little bit, but you don't want to dive off the deep end depending on the person. So let's start with creating a balanced plate. It's all about how to eat versus what to eat.
Yes, that is true. So I like this visual from Canada's My Plate because it just shows real food. But for example, the reason we want to consider how to build a plate is because I want people to still enjoy the foods that they like.
Yes.
But there's different types of foods, and I'm going to pick on mashed potatoes today that we, overdo the portion size specifically. So when you think about a plate, you want half of your plate to be color, so fruits and vegetables. A quarter of it to be protein, like the chicken I have here on the plate, and then a quarter of it like your starches. It can be starchy vegetables, your grains, your beans, things like that. And the idea is you build a balanced plate, meaning that you have your carbohydrates, your protein, your fat, so you feel good versus it just being a whole entire plate of carbs or fat, that type of thing.
Okay, got it. And then of course the big thing is portion sizes. It's like if you do partake and go off the deep end of Thanksgiving carbs, like let's organize the plate like you said and not do an entire plate of mashed potatoes.
Right, because I still want you guys to enjoy everything that you're going to be eating, but there is a reason we don't just do mashed potatoes, right? Like eating for a stable blood sugar is quite literally how you feel your best. So when you build your plate that way, that's a great way to still feel good and eat what you want. And then there's something if you want to take a little bit further, like even the order they say to enjoy your food. So when you go to a restaurant, sometimes they serve rolls first. I always say to get the salad first. You want your fiber first. You want to eat your chicken first, and then eat your carbohydrates last. That way you have some stuff that kind of slows down the carbohydrates.
But those rolls are so good.
I know.
So see if you could hold off a little bit and get the salad.
Yes, so start with your salad if you need to. And, we always use more than one plate sometimes for Thanksgiving. So if you do that, just have one with your salad, start there, and then build your plate with the stuff that you enjoy as well.
Yes, I like that. Okay, so we talked about portion sizes.
Yes.
I love that you kind of have a demonstration here for us. So this is chicken that she has on this plate, but she wants to show you the different sizes in the two plates.
Yes, so I have one plate that is 10 to 12 inches around, and then I have one plate here which is about 8 inches, which is your typical recommendation for like a serving size for a dinner plate. And so a lot of the times, I feel like reality versus what we're actually eating is we're eating the big plate and we're not eating within an 8-inch plate. However, if you have to go from 2 Thanksgiving plates to one big one, it might be best to actually choose a big one for Thanksgiving this time.
This is might be a little deep for a lot of people, but a fitness trainer told me that she was like, you should be weighing your foods. And she was like, eventually, it's not like you're going to weigh every meal for the rest of your life. She said, eventually you train yourself how to see what you should be eating versus just kind of guessing, because I'm on a journey, a fitness journey myself right now. And she was like, if you just kind of start by weighing it, then you get a mental picture of what you should and should not be eating, because we're almost always overeating.
Especially the carbs. Like carbs are everywhere. I know we've talked about
they're so
this.
good.
Yeah, and they have a purpose, right? So we should be eating them. And I agree in the sense of maybe even measuring versus weighing, because measuring for me is how I can tell, like, if I'm going to measure something, it's going to be my carbs. So that way I know, like, I have a balanced plate. So like the quinoa and the salad, for example. And since I have to use a spoon to put it in there anyways, I just use a quarter measuring cup and I just put it in there, and I know it's like 2 servings of quinoa. So like you said, until you get familiar with like, what should my serving size look like? It is helpful to measure initially, so then and that way you're like, wow, how much am I really eating versus what I should be eating?
Yeah. Okay, so some simple ways to improve the dishes we love. Well, let's talk about that. So we mentioned mashed potatoes. We brought them up again because those are people's favorites. The mac and cheese, of course, people's favorites. But you're saying maybe we could put bone broth in mashed potatoes in order to get the consistency. Explain what you're talking about.
I feel like that's my secret ingredient, because you can use it in place of milk a lot of the times, which is why I do, but also it has more protein and it adds a lot of flavor. So when I made the quinoa, I boiled it in the chicken bone broth. When you make your mashed potatoes, it's a lot of the times you use butter and heavy cream, both fat sources, and then carbohydrates and salt, right?
Yes.
So instead of the heavy cream or the milk, you could put the bone broth and it adds some protein. You can add turnips in your mashed potatoes. So turnips are exactly like potatoes as far as how they behave. So you can chop up the turnip like you would a potato.
Okay.
And do half turnip, half potato. Then you have less of just straight carbohydrates there, have some more fiber, which is why we want to elevate our plate. We want more color, we want more fiber,
Yes.
things like that. So even like butternut squash versus sweet potato in your sweet potato casserole, add some squash in there. It's in season now anyways. So that's a great way to do that.
Yeah, so maybe you're mixing it in versus substituting
Exactly.
it 100% out. Like any way that you can be better, I feel like that's what Taylor's trying to tell us.
Yes, and then our rolls.
Even
so,
if it's a smidge better or half better or something
you
like
start
that.
somewhere, right? I'm not expecting people to just completely do different than what they're used to, or it's
Yeah,
not sustainable.
not for the holiday.
No, especially not the holiday. Right, so these are ways that you can still have those food items.
Yeah.
And then the rolls in the front here, they're the Weight Watcher rolls. And the reason I even say that is because we've had them so many times. It's equal parts Greek yogurt to flour. And so you're adding protein to something that otherwise you could eat like 4 of and not feel satisfied and full. So that's the idea behind the extra fiber and the protein in foods, is so that you don't overeat, because it's empty calories. It's, a lot of volume. I still want to eat a lot.
Okay.
You know?
So what's the story of this salad? I want everybody to see it.
Yes.
So I'll tilt it just a little bit so we can get a shot of it.
I call it a sexy salad because
This
you
is
can
a
make it
sexy salad.
into whatever
you
you
see all
want.
that good, yummy goodness on the inside of there? I mean, my goodness.
We've got pomegranate seeds, roasted cranberries, and broccoli, and butternut squash, quinoa, pepitas, and then a variety of the lettuces underneath, and then a homemade balsamic vinaigrette. But it's great because this could be a meal by itself with the
Yes,
chicken
it
on your
could.
plate. So that's the
Yes, it
idea
could.
behind a sexy salad is, it's filling, you can eat a lot of it, and it has color, it has all the good things in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the sexy salad dressing that
Yes.
goes along with it?
Yep, just
Okay.
balsamic, oil, and Dijon mustard, and give a little shake, and you can put it on there.
I know people always say, I don't know why more folks don't make their own salad dressing at home. Something I've not been able to wrap my head around just
It's
yet.
so easy. You just need a flavor, an oil, and something to keep it together, which is Dijon mustard. And you can
Okay.
always add whatever seasonings you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's great.
All right. Let's talk about the kids. How can we help them develop some healthy habits at the holidays?
Yeah. So the idea with, preventing picky eating, since we've talked about that before, is you don't want to be a short order cook. And so when you have something like Thanksgiving where it's like a buffet of food, it's great because they have these positive exposures around the food, which is always important. So they are exposed to these food, but there's always going to be at least one food that they like. So that's important, so they don't feel like there's nothing that they can fill up on. So whether it's the roll, whether it's, the mashed potatoes, then they still have exposure and the choice to make all these foods and
Yes.
or to grab all these foods if they want. But then you're not just making something separate for them. And
Okay.
so also getting them involved is huge. My girls helped me make the cranberry jam and these pomegranate seeds. My daughter's been asking me for weeks to get her one just to take the seeds out. So I was like, great, you can do that, and then I'll put them in the salad.
Yes.
So, and I find my kids like to try the stuff when I'm preparing it as opposed to when it's done. Like my other daughter doesn't like the chia jam that I've made in the past. And so once I had left the kitchen, she went and tried the cranberry chia jam and loved it. And so that was a way for her to have a positive exposure, and she made the choice to eat it, which now she knows she likes it.
And you said once you left the kitchen. Sometimes I think the pressure of us as parents, as adults, just, hey, eat this, or do
Yeah.
you like this? I mean, you know how kids are.
Yeah.
They're finicky sometimes. Okay, so what's this here?
Yes. Okay. So talk about elevating your plate. Do you eat cranberry sauce personally?
I
think-
do.
Okay. Can you please tell me what you use it for?
What? I wrap it. Sometimes I eat it with the dressing or
Okay.
stuffing.
Stuffing.
Sometimes I'm eating it with the turkey. It's
Okay.
just kind of mixed into my plate. Usually
Okay.
it's with the dressing or stuffing.
Okay, got it. So I wasn't sure what people use it for, but as I was making this, I did put it on my chicken. So I'm glad I used it the right way.
Oh.
But it's also good with the spoon. So the idea here is instead of just having like sugar cranberries, you're adding fiber by the chia seeds.
Okay.
And so it's making this own gel because when you hydrate the chia seeds, it like
Yes.
gelatinizes.
Okay.
And then a little bit of maple syrup and some cinnamon in there. Yeah. So that way, like, we're adding fiber, a little protein. And then this pumpkin pie
Yes.
is made with
Yes.
cottage cheese.
I want you to see the consistency.
So I know there's like a big cottage
the chia
cheese.
seeds really make it the jelly-like consistency,
Yes.
as she just said.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It does.
Awesome. Okay, keep going.
And then so the pumpkin pie is made with cottage cheese. So
Okay, now you're dipping into dessert.
know,
So
I
you
know.
want people to go healthy dessert too?
Well-
What's in here?
if you're gonna eat dessert, I would say eat it last and pick out your portion that you want. But this is pumpkin puree, cottage cheese, only 2 tablespoons of sugar and it made 3 of those.
Okay.
And the base is just simple graham crackers with a little bit of butter in there.
Okay.
Of course, you got eggs and butter in the filling, but it's just a way
But
to.
eggs and butter are good.
Yeah.
Just not in excess.
Right. So this was a way to have more balanced everything. I want to be more balanced, right? Creating us with more nutrients and balance. And so that was the idea there. And it literally tastes just like pumpkin pie.
Yes.
So I'm not trying to make your food not taste good. You know, I want it to taste good. You should look
Please
forward to
don't
it.
try to make it. And
No.
that is, I will say, that is the thing about healthy eating, everybody. Once you start on the journey, then you don't crave as much salt, as much sugar, so your palate changes too. So it's a little tough in the beginning and you got to get creative, but then you just get, I think, a little more used to it. It's
Yeah.
about taking that first step.
And when you have a balanced plate, you don't have those like glucose swings that causes cravings too. So that's also a big piece of it, why it's so important to, no matter what you eat, just pair it with protein and fat, your carbs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We have one more thing over here that you want to show us. What's
This is your busy mom Thanksgiving type meal without doing all the things, because
Okay.
we all don't have a lot of time. You might have a lot of kids or a busy schedule.
I
you
mean,
might
and
be
frankly,
traveling.
people are watching their budgets these days too.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can you,
Still have the same flavors, but
Yeah.
like maybe not have to do as much work. So I love that mac and cheese goodles because it does have more fiber and protein. And
Ooh,
don't forget to
I just heard about
put in your
these.
chicken bone broth. It's so worth it, and it looks and tastes exactly like mac and cheese. This is the only non-Kraft mac and cheese that my kids have accepted.
Okay.
Truthfully, because it tastes the same. You have just turkey deli meat you could use. You could do a bag salad instead of making your own. You could do a pumpkin pie mug cake that you throw in the microwave for 90 seconds instead. And then potatoes are just, they're very easy and very cheap to do. So I don't recommend instant mashed potatoes as a quicker option. Just make the potatoes.
Just make the potatoes
just
if
make
you
the
can.
potatoes.
Okay, and then you also were talking about after meal,
Yeah.
after dinner things. What do we need to be doing after dinner?
After dinner. So I think a lot of the times we overeat and then sit and then we feel terrible and tired, right? So
Okay.
what I like to tell people to do is once you're done eating, get out your to-go container because we all brought them.
Yes.
Go ahead and put your meal in there that you want. It allows the host then to put away all the food because if it's still out for 2-3 hours later, you're going to keep going back even if you're not hungry.
Yes.
So go ahead and let everything be put away, and then instead of sitting down for a few hours to watch a game or whatever you guys typically do, go just walk around the block. The crisp air will help wake you up a little bit. It'll help with digestion. It'll help
I
you
like
to feel
that.
better. So it doesn't have to be 2 miles. I was telling my husband this. He goes, 2 miles? People aren't going to walk 2 miles. I was like, not 2 miles. Just get up and walk for a little bit,
Yes.
5-10 minutes. And that way it's nice. And that way you'll feel awake from the air because it was pretty cool last year when we did that. But also then you're not sitting and the food is still sitting there. It gives a chance to start to work through your body.
Yes. Well, for the record, I'm probably still gonna eat.
Oh, please do. Yes, me
But
too.
just on Thanksgiving Day, I feel like these are some good tips for before Thanksgiving Day and after Thanksgiving Day to kind of help you.
Yeah.
But I'm determined to get that second plate. I'm
Yeah,
going back.
it's fine. And
But-
it's just like Halloween, you trick or treat that night.
Yes.
Thanksgiving, if this is when you eat 2 plates full, it's one day.
Yes.
But then don't go eat 2 plates full of the same
For a
food for a
week.
whole week.
Don't
Exactly.
do that. That's where you get into trouble. And I like what you're saying. You might still eat, but get the walk around the block.
Yeah.
That's maybe 10 minutes, maybe less. Get the walk around the block. That's something to add in. Diets aren't always about taking things out.
Right, it's what you can
Sometimes
add
a
to it.
healthy lifestyle is what you can add.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
This is wonderful. Some
Happy
good tips.
eating.
Yes, happy eating. Some good tips and tricks. And she still wants you to enjoy the day, okay? Don't think it's like trying to hamper down your Thanksgiving. So thank you so much, Taylor.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it. We have more at WTHR.com/Parent Squad. Still ahead, we also have Toys That Teach with Katie from Indie with Kids.